Joel Wallace here at the DVE store. So we just got in the new zcam E2 cinematic camera, and I'll do an unboxing with this, and I'll hook up a couple lenses to it to see the differences between the two, as well as I'll have some cool accessories recommended for this camera. So let's jump on in. All right, let's check this on out here and let's see what's inside. Got the cover off. That's kind of a tricky box to get off here. That's what I'm dealing with here. It's the suction coming off. There we go. All right, so we have looks like some disclaimers, quick start guide here. Looks like one in English and in Chinese for those. We'll probably need that towards the beginning of this. All right. And here is the camera. This is a pretty sweet little guy. It's actually a little smaller than I was expecting on there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So let's get some power to it, and then we'll start hooking up some gear to it and check it out from there. So also inside the box we have another box. And that's it. That's inside there. So we have inside here, we have power brick, the US version. All right, let me turn that picture box off. All right, so we have the power brick here. Have the US version for the outlets to be plugged in. We also have, looks like, the other end of the power cable that will go to the camera with some D-taps here. Also inside, looks like this, I'm not sure which country that's for, but that will probably go to Europe or somewhere. Actually, that's probably for Europe. Here are the two prongs. And then this is probably for China, I'd imagine. But so some international power cables. We have an antenna. And we have a D-tap to a barrel connector here, like a VDC. So we won't need the international since we're in the USA here. Don't need that. Looks like we'll need the rest of that stuff. So I'll just set this on over to the side. Okay, so let's first get some power into the camera. Got that plugged in. Plug it into the brick here. And let's see, we'll go ahead and just put the antenna on here. Or in this, there's the antenna location on the back. So we'll go ahead and just plug that in. Prop up the antenna. And also too, like while we're looking at the back, looks like we have an Ethernet port. Now, from my understanding, with this is that with the Ethernet port, it allows you to be able to connect it up to the zcam software. Now for the E2s, my understanding is that it's only for the Windows computers that it allows you to be able to connect this up with the Ethernet out to your computer or to a switch, and then you can stream live through Facebook, or I believe you can put in a URL for your stream key information to be able to stream out if you want to stream live with the camera. But it has to be done through the zcam software with a Windows computer. I think with the S6 and the S6 Pro, you could do that with the Mac, but I'm not 100%. But I know for sure you have to do it with the E2 with Windows right now. I know that you can also like transfer footage over to stream the footage to a computer. But that's kind of all I know as of right now. We just got these cameras in, so I'm kind of learning with you guys here if you're watching this for the first time and learning the camera. So we also have a power port, which I'm guessing that this is going to be the cable that goes to there. We also have a USB-C port. We have an XLR. I'm guessing that's going to be some kind of ARRI connection. Let's see, it looks like we have an in and out port for video. Not sure which that cable is quite yet. We have a HDMI port here at the top, so we can plug in a video monitor for here. Let's see, we also have a space to be able to put in a Sony L-Series MPF battery on the back. So on the side, we have a headphone jack and a spot for an external microphone that we could put in here. Let's see, on the other side, we have a CFast, is it CFast? Yep, CFast card location. I'm guessing that you probably need to use like an Angel Bird is one of the recommended CFast cards that I've seen with this. I'm sure that there's probably some other ones out there, but I've heard the Angel Bird as of right now. Or you could do a like a Samsung, I think it's the T5 that allows you to do it, has the right amount of read-write speed for it, that you could plug in through USB-C here, kind of like the Blackmagic Pocket 4K cameras. So let's see, antenna, there we go. Looking up on top here, the buttons are a little hard to read that are actually like printed on the actual button. So I could see we're putting like a piece of gaff tape here, and then like white gaff tape, and then in black Sharpie you could write out the actual buttons, what they mean, so it's easier to see. I saw someone else do that, so that was a pretty cool idea that I saw. Or you could just do a label maker and put it up on top. In the plain and obvious, we have a record button here up on top, and then we have our monitor where I'm guessing we'll be able to see the viewfinder, or like an LCD screen of the actual screen preview, or as well as that we'll be able to dial in the shots. Now I do know that you can use this with your iPhone, I believe, only iOS, that you can download the app and then you can connect this up with the camera, and that allows you to gives you a live preview for it. So pretty cool there, and then you can adjust all the settings from there, and as well as I think you can actually stream live through your using your phone to Facebook and other platforms too. So, but we'll get there in a minute, kind of rushing ahead on that. Up on front here, we do have the MFT Micro Four Thirds mount here, and then with the sensor. Also up on front, we have another record button, and we have a couple presets that looks like we can assign for like F1, F2, and F3. We can assign some cool features to there for quick access. So, yeah. All right, so let's keep hooking things up with this camera here. So I can see here that this is going to be the barrel connector to be able to go to one of the D-taps. And let's get a pair of scissors here. Carefully cut this zip tie. Don't really like having scissors right there next to the power cables, but we got it a-okay. All right, so here we're gonna have our power cable. That's gonna go in here to the bottom of the camera. Make sure we line up the right pins, the right direction. So there's power. And so we have two D-taps here. So I'm assuming that obviously one of them powers up the camera, and then another one gives us another accessory to be able to power up another device. So kind of cool. So we have A and, nope. So this is B and C. Yeah, I have to do a little more research on that. All right, so the camera just powered up automatically here. And let's go ahead and plug in a lens. So for the first lens that we'll do a native lens. So this is a Micro Four Thirds lens. This is a 12 to 35 by Panasonic. And so we'll go ahead and hook this guy up. This is going to be the camera here with the micro four thirds lens, and here we go. So yeah, just a little sample footage. Now this is 1080p that's going through my video switcher to be able to do this multicam setup. But yeah, you can actually see here, I can show you guys what I'm using, as I have a Roland VR1 HD. Now the reason that you're able to see when I focus and it zooms in is I'm running this through the video switcher, so it should be just the HDMI out that's going from this camera, and then I'm actually recording the source coming through my Roland switcher. So that's why you're able to see when I do a focus, it does the zoom in for critical focus on there. But when you're actually recording the footage that from the camera, that should not be recorded for the critical focus on there. All right, so let's go ahead and power off this camera, and we'll hook up another lens to it. All right, so now I have a Canon 70-200. This is the 2.8, and this should be the Mark II, I believe, for here. Now, in order to be able to hook up this lens, we will need to use a speed booster. I have the Metabones, the 0.71x. Now, even though that the Canon here is a full frame glass, the Metabones speed booster, you technically could use the 0.64 XL, but it's just one of the speed boosters that we have here lying around. So let's go ahead, power this on. So now this is with a Canon, the 24-70, it's the L glass. And yeah, just to give you another example of footage of what it's going to look like with different lenses on there. So let's go ahead and pop on one more lens. This is the Sigma. This is the 18-35. And we'll power this back on. And I'm also still using the speed booster, the 0.71x that we have here. All right. So this is now powered on. Switch over to my other camera, and we'll grab focus. There we go. So very close, you know, as far as like looks to the Canon, the Sigma and Canon, and they're pretty close to each other. I think you'll get a little bit more of a bokeh effect with using the Canon lenses, but I know a lot of people love the Sigma lenses. So yeah, both are great. Now, again, this is more sample footage from the Sigma lens with the zcam, and yeah, just want to show you guys some variety of the different lenses attached to this camera. So let's keep moving on. All right, so for connecting the battery, this is an MPF style battery. This one here, this one is a 47 watt per hour battery, so that should last a decent amount of time. Now for connecting this up to the back of the camera, what you want to do is actually you want to hook in down at the bottom. You'll see that there's the two pins down here. You'll kind of want to get the top or the bottom of this battery kind of already set into it, but you don't want to push it down all the way quite yet. So then what will happen is then the battery will then fall into place, and then you can slide it down to lock it in, and that's the trick for getting these batteries into this camera here. And then we'll go ahead and power this back on, and while we're waiting for that to boot up, we're going to go ahead and connect this up with the app. Now I've already downloaded the Z Camera app in the iOS store. It's literally called Z Camera. All right, so we'll want to make sure that the Wi-Fi is on in the camera. You can go into the menu and go to Connect, Network, and then making sure that this is selected on. Then we can back out here. We have the zcam or Z Camera software. And what we'll need to do is, before we can use the app, we'll need to connect it via the Wi-Fi. So we'll go in here. I see the Z camera. Now it wants a password. So the default password for getting onto the Wi-Fi is going to be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So we'll go over here, do just that. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Join. Boom. Camera's connected. Can now go back over to the app, and now we should be able to get in. And someone's calling me. Perfect timing. And so now we have a live preview of the camera here. So it's pretty close. I mean, there's a little bit of latency, but that's pretty close for going over the Wi-Fi and using this as a monitor. So I've seen some guys use their phones as the actual monitors. You can attach it to the top of the camera using like a phone mount to quarter 20 to the cage. Then other people I've seen using like the Small HD, I think it's the Focus 7 monitor was another popular one. So kind of going through, I think it's going to be easier to go through the menu with the app versus going through with the tiny screen here. Now, if we want to turn this screen off, I believe, so there's a, and again, this is where it gets hard to see, but up top here, this says menu, function, up, down, and OK. So up top here, if you hold function, then hit OK, this will toggle having the on-screen display for you. So then you can toggle back and forth, but you have to hold function down in order to do that. So going down here in the line of what we have for options, we have the home button. That's going to take us back out to the main menu. So we'll go back into the control. Then let's see, we have a, looks like a customized tool, but that's kind of grayed out right now. We have a gallery, but there's no memory card in it right now and nothing has been shot. We also have white balance, but that is currently locked out right now. There's probably just a setting we need to change. We have shutter, so then we can go through and select at the shutter that we want. We have ISO, so then we have all of our different flavors for ISO. We have next to that, we have our f-stops, so then we can go through and select the f-stop that we want. And it looks like we have an exposure plus or minus option. We also have, let's see, looks like a manual focus if this lens was controllable. Now my other lens, the Panasonic lens, that had the control to be able to do autofocus. Let's see, then we have our scopes, histograms. So in here we'll have some of our focus peaking. Looks like that's going to be our zebras. There's the focus peaking. And yeah, tons of options in here. Record button down here in the right hand corner. I don't have a CFast card in or an SSD card hooked up as of right now. And then it gives us our profile. So this one's right now ProRes 422 HQ. It is in 1920 by 1080, not 4K, at 2997 and records 709. And then down here it looks like we have a counter. This will probably give us our information of how much time is left or how much time we have shot. I'm sure that can be all changed. Up at the top here we have our Wi-Fi indicator of our signal strength of how close we are to the camera with the app and the phone, temperature reading, and voltage on the battery. And it looks like that red symbol up top is probably the no card in the camera for here. So, and then if we back out, we have our gallery with being able to check our footage. And one last thing here, which I notice it comes back when we're in this view. So there is a live button. This is probably where we can go in and put in our URL and then our stream key to be able to stream the media. So I didn't see a Facebook Live feature inside of the app here to be able to stream, so I'm assuming that is just for streaming your footage over to a local computer or destination that you want to have your media being able to be seen by Video Village or something along those lines. But in order to stream live, you'll definitely need to use the zcam software on a Windows computer PC. So yeah, let's check out some accessories that we can use with this camera. So definitely having a cage is going to be very crucial. It's going to allow you to be able to mount your accessories, to be able to put on a monitor, to be able to have the side handles or a top handle to mount your SSD drive. So definitely having the cage is going to be pretty huge. Here's some other views of it mounted to the camera for you guys. Next thing that you'll probably want, and pretty good beneficial accessories with the camera, is going to be a top handle that makes it pretty easy to be able to then lift the camera up and to be able to go on the move with it. And also too, if you're trying to do some like the low camera shots where you need to be able to run and gun the camera, so then you can hold up top and then you can get that low shot and just kind of walk along to get that kind of shot. It's pretty beneficial with having that top handle. You can also do, this is the SmallRig, their universal, their wood side handle. Now this does allow for being able to get like a dual grip for there, so then you can get nice good handheld shots with it. But you can also, with these handles, I believe they go left and right, so they can go both sides for it. And yeah, it just makes it another great way to stabilize the camera. If you don't do a top handle, I definitely suggest getting one of the side handles to make it a lot easier to grab and go. This is going to be another crucial one if you're going to be running a monitor. So this is the monitor mount with SmallRig. This will allow you to be able to attach your monitor up on top. If you have the camera rig down below, then you can angle the monitor up. So nice good accessory definitely to have with your cage. This one I thought was pretty cool. This is the Blackmagic hand grip for the Ursa Minis. Now, what I thought was pretty cool with these is that they will actually trigger the camera. So up at the top here, we have the recording trigger. So that will actually trigger the camera with the zcam to do recording. And I've also heard that you can use the focus feature with these. So pretty cool accessory that you could add on the grip and then you have a trigger for it. So for glass for the zcam, I would definitely be checking out the new Fujinon MK18-55. I had the pleasure of being able to actually demo this lens before it's been released, and I used it on the Blackmagic Pocket 4K camera, and it was stellar. Some of the really key features that I liked about this lens is that you can, when you go to do your rack focus, there's zero breathing whatsoever in the lens. Plus, it's all inside the lens, so you're not gonna, when you have your matte box on, it's not gonna hit your matte box, and there's not gonna be like the lens moving out like how this lens does. It moves, whereas it'll all stay inside the lens and you won't have to worry about moving your matte box when you go to zoom in to change the focal points on there. So, and then this is the 50 to 135 millimeter lens by Fujinon. So if you want more of a telephoto lens, kind of going back over here to the Fujinon MK18-55. Now, you do lose a little bit in the wide end, so I would definitely recommend having a nice good wide angle prime lens to really capture at the wider points there. But overall, that lens is just phenomenal. And then lastly, you know, I thought this was a cool accessory. This is a rain cover for the E2. I recently just saw someone post up on one of the forums that I'm in, and you know, he's filming out in the dunes, and figured this is another cool accessory just to kind of put in there, especially if you're dealing with like rainy environments. You definitely want to protect your camera. So the Porta Brace, you know, $69. Someone commented, and I think on one of my posts, and said it's like the cost of a jacket, you know, that you'd actually wear. But you know, it's far cheaper than having your camera serviced and repaired and cleaned for covering all different kinds of extreme conditions, whether you're out in the rain or you're out in the dunes filming out in the sand. Alright, well that wraps it up for today's video on the unboxing of the zcam E2 camera. If you have any questions, I'll put my email address down below in the description for you. Feel free to email me, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks guys, see you on the next episode.